I'm back with Merrin from Active Anatomy, physiotherapist and Pilates teacher in Sydney, and we're now doing a postural assessment from the side. Okay.
Okay, when I'm looking at someone from the side, I will, again, I get people to put their hands across the chest so I can have a good look at that, the line going down the body. So what I want to do is, you have a picture in your book about the plumb line dropping down, the optimal posture when you view side on, and you'll see the line as it goes down the body. It will go through the lateral meatus, I think it's called, the auditory meatus. It's meant to cross down through most of the cervical vertebrae, through the axis of the shoulder joint, down the mid-axillar line, and then all the way down just through the greater trochanter, so you can find the little bony part there on the side, the hip bone that sticks out there, going through the greater trochanter. And then as that plumb line drops down through the body, you'll see the lateral fibular head, which is just here, and also the lateral malleolus. That plumb line will drop down just slightly in front of it. So when you view the leg, you'll see that the lower part of the leg should actually sit just slightly behind that plumb line. When you look at that optimal posture and comparing side-on posture to that, that's ideal where the plumb line should sit. So if you have a look at Emma's side-on posture, the things, just bring your elbows in by there. The big thing to notice, there's nothing much to notice actually. It's quite good. There is a slightly increased lumbar lordosis through there. And if you have a look at her shoulders, I think the shoulders actually sit further back behind the line of the hip. So if I look at that line of the legs going straight up and down here, that's meant to run straight up through her shoulder, I think that the upper part of her body is actually slightly backwards compared with the rest of the legs. So if you bring your ribs in slightly and just lift up a little bit that way, or keep your shoulders drawing down, then you're fine. You can correct it.
Yeah. So I don't think I've got an actual lordosis. I think it's often I'm just actually standing with the ribs lifted, which appears like a lordotic posture, which isn't really, because if I soften the knees and I bring the ribs down,
you can easily correct it. Yeah.
So often you can possibly make the mistake of thinking somebody has got a lordosis, which is sort of like that, when actually really it's just a rib lift, which can be easily sort of addressed.
That's right.
So really, I suppose the posture assessment for the side is really sort of focusing around the pelvis, whether there's an anterior tilt or whether there's a posterior tilt.
Yeah.
So when there's an anterior tilt, we've got rectus abdominis, external obliques are weak, overstretched,
and longer.
The tight muscles, I guess, would be the erector spinae, and psoas, because you're bringing the origin and insertion closer together, aren't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The big ones for side on are definitely looking at what they call like that lower cross syndrome, that postural, lumbar lordosis type thing, but also the same thing in the upper body, because you'll see that post neck posture and
kyphotic type posture.
So that's the other big one to look for. Those two postures,
When you see the postural types, kyphotic, lordotic, they're often grouped together in a textbook, but they don't necessarily appear together.
No.
You can have one without the other.
Definitely. You look at any runners or sprinters, they all have a lumbar lordosis. They're ready to sprint up, off, but the upper body is absolutely straight.
Right.
The same with military people. They have
that military type posture.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about what I was doing there, sort of elevated with the rib cage. Yeah.
So you can have a mixture of everything. Literally, there's anything out there, and all variations of. So keep an open mind for those.
I suppose what you're also watching for from the side is the hyperextension of the knees. Yeah.
Sure.
Because you might think somebody's maybe got, I suppose, bow-legged or something like that, but actually they might just be hyperextended in the knees, which I suppose, would that cause a little bit of lumbar lordosis?
It does.
Because if I sort of lock out my knees, you can see the curve, but if I soften the joint, it sort of appears more neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people also will, if they lock out their knees, they usually sink into their hips out the front. So it's interesting sometimes to look at the line, like of where this gradatory canter is. If it's
so is it away out of the plumb line, or is it in front of the plumb line?
Yeah, if it's too far forward, that's right. Yeah. So just have a look for those little shifts forward and back, rotations through pelvis, excessive kyphosis, lordosis type of postures, or the ribs.
So that's the sort of more upper crossed posture.
Yes, that's the upper cross posture. That's right.
Yeah. So the muscles we'd have tight here, or the pecs, anterior deltoid, levator scapulae, upper traps, and I suppose on your neck extensors.
Yes, suboccipitals all up the back there.
So the SCM and the what do you call them? The little ones. I was going to say terrors there, but they're not there.
The suboccipitals, is that what they're called?
What are they called? I've forgotten the name of them. The little ones that go. I'll remember.
Rotatories?
Rotatories, is it? Yeah.
There's literally about 20 of them.
The ones that are going to be weak then are lower traps, rhomboids, longus colli, longus capitis,
excellent.
The front, your
the deep neck flexors.
Neck flexors,
Perfect,
and so that subtypical forward head posture will result in all those muscles, longus colli, longus capitis, overstretched, weak. So that's typical upper cross syndrome. So you're watching out for all of those.
Excellent. Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Perfect.
Okay. So we'll try assessment from the back now. Okay. Thanks.